So one detainee is dead and two are injured after the Department of Homeland Security says a sniper fired indiscriminately at an ICE facility in Dallas. You can see the bullet holes there. The shooter then turned the gun on himself, leaving behind these shell casings that read anti-ICE. Here to discuss is DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin. Tricia, thanks so much for joining the program.
Lawrence, thank you so much for having me this morning.
So let's get into some of the facts here. The threat level has been high on all of the facilities, Border Patrol and ICE included. They get a call, shots are fired, and next thing you know, during an investigation, you find out this guy has a message of anti-ICE. What else do you know about this suspect?
Yeah, 5 minutes after the active shooter started, Secretary Noem hopped on the phone with all of us and started giving us the rundown of what was going on. This individual from an elevated rooftop opened fire, indiscriminately shooting at our Dallas field office and shooting at unmarked and marked vans at that ICE detention facility. In those vans is where those 3 detainees were being held before transport, and that's where they were shot. One of these detainees was tragically killed, and 2 others are in critical condition. So we do pray for those victims today, and we pray for our law enforcement. Lawrence, as you just mentioned, our law enforcement is facing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them. And while this is an open investigation, we are still very much looking at motive. We saw those shell casings with the anti-ICE messages, and we saw the monstrous actions of this individual targeting our ICE law enforcement. This has to stop. The political violence in this country must come to an end before there's further bloodshed.
You know, Tricia, it is part of your job to work with the media every single day, so you deal with all the different networks and publications. I was looking online. Some of them are disputing the anti-ICE message that was labeled on the bullet.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that as well, Lawrence. I think it's disturbing to show that they're willing to make excuses for political violence. Of course, we don't jump to make assumptions. We make sure we have the facts.
That's right.
And we're giving the American people the truth. That's what this administration does under President Trump. But we saw those shell casings, and the American people should know what they said. They should know the fact that this individual was firing at our law enforcement. He was firing at this ICE processing center.
Trish, I want to get to another story, and this really furthers the media's complicity in here when it comes to just misreporting things. This is a headline from NBC. They later corrected. They say ICE held a 5-year-old autistic girl in Massachusetts to pressure her father to surrender, family says. They later say video shows ICE 5-year-old girl while agents attempt to arrest her father. Of course, this is not how it went down. This is not the facts of this story, but the damage had already been done.
Oh, you're exactly right. This is a disgusting smear. And I can tell you that reporter reached out to me specifically, and he told me that our ICE and agents were using this 5-year-old girl with autism as quote-unquote bait to get her father out of this house. I said, hold up. There's no way this is true. Wait for us to give you the facts so you're not printing misinformation and these false smears that dehumanize and demonize our law enforcement. He went forward with the story. The truth, and the American public should know what the truth is that this individual who is a target of our law enforcement operation, he had past criminal convictions for domestic violence and strangulation. He was pulled over by our ICE law enforcement officers in a proper stop. He went off to flee from the vehicle, giving the double bird to our law enforcement and stranding his 5-year-old daughter. Our law enforcement conducted themselves with total professionalism. They stayed with that 5-year-old daughter to make sure she was okay until she was in proper care. Keep in mind, Lawrence, these men and women of ICE, they're fathers and mothers and their sons and daughters. These are people who just want to go home to their families at night and serve our great nation.
It's so true. And many of them are friends of mine, and I know the struggle that they go through. They don't make a lot of money. They just don't. They don't make a lot of money to deal with this. They don't have a choice of what laws they have to enforce. They're law enforcement officers. All the laws on the books. You don't like them, change them. Tricia, thanks so much for joining the program.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.